Seeking advice about seeking joy as an old person. Hi, my name is Sadie Schertzer, and I help motivated individuals access their authentic selves so they can communicate with clarity and confidence in their personal and professional lives. This one is a doozy. They say, how do you cope with being too old to experience joy, fun, adventure? Then they speak about their late 20s, how they missed out on them, or in their words, they missed out on them due to trauma. It looks like COVID aligned with that point in their life, and a few other things. They say they went to a concert tonight featuring a favorite artist who played songs from 10 years ago, and I just started crying in the middle of it. I miss being young 20s so badly. They go on to say that it seems like no one they meet in their town in New York City is the same age as them, and that they don't want to be around people who are married with kids. It seems like they're recovering from trauma, and that there is a lot of disdain towards other females in their life who are choosing to settle down. And that's not something that they want now and potentially never. Down here at the end, they say, I don't want to wrap it up and be done for the rest of my life. They had a tough couple years, but they still want to go out, and they feel like they're in survival mode and that they're too old and that they do not want this life. Okay, first and foremost, I know that people are going to say, 20s isn't old. What are you talking about? If you're older than 20 and this seems very young to you, that's okay. You're allowed to feel that way. This person is also allowed to feel the way that they feel. Age is subjective, just like the weather. You know what it's like when someone's like, wow, it's cold outside, and someone else is like, this isn't cold. Cold is an individual feeling, just like feeling old is an individual feeling. So first and foremost, I just want to establish to anybody watching this video who's upset that the person uses the word old, that this is how they feel, and we need to respect those feelings. Now, this person mentions quite a bit of trauma and things that they overcame in the past couple years, so that's where we would start. We would start unpacking some of that. What are the things that happened to you? How did you deal with it? Who was in your life to help you get through that? They mention at the end of the first paragraph that they lost shitty friends and still feel guilty. I miss them. I haven't been able to build or make new ones. So we would dive into that a little bit more. Why are these friends shitty friends? And what are the things that you miss about them? Is there anything holding you back from making new friends now? And we would dive into what this person's expectation is, or expectations were, of life in their 20s. A lot of times we can live in this state of FOMO, and we forget to be present in our own lives. And when we realize that everyone else around us is living their lives, and there's no perfect way to be in your 20s, or perfect way to be a mom, or perfect way to be an employee, we can start to have a little bit more grace with ourselves and a little bit more calmness around it. When we're constantly living life thinking, I missed out on that, or I wanted to be part of that and I wasn't able to because of XYZ, that negativity and that always feeling like you're being left out, that can affect how people see you, how they feel your presence, and that can affect how you show up in the world. So we would kind of dive into this person's mindset a little bit and just try to unpack, without judgment, again, just try to unpack what are some of the things that have happened to this person in order for them to feel this enormous weight of having missed out in their 20s. Now, depending on how those conversations go, we might then venture into what life in the future might look like for them. Do they want to have a family? Do they want to have a partner? What kind of feelings come up when we talk about partners and family? Because it may be right for them in the future, or it may not be. And both of those are perfectly fine answers. And just talking through it in a safe, grounded place can be a different experience than talking through it with your friends who are maybe getting married themselves or having kids themselves. Because a lot of times when we're going through things in life, we expect our friends to follow us, or we're just at such a joyful point in our lives because of the decisions we've made, that all of that joy that's exuding from us can trigger those vulnerable spots in somebody else who's feeling like they missed out on something. So to me, it feels like this person is saying, not only did I miss out on life in my 20s, but all these people are just like skipping ahead 2 or 3 steps, and I'm definitely not ready for that. So we would first address, again, that nugget of FOMO in their 20s, and then talk about what they'd want their life to look like in the future. And they mention joy, both in the title and throughout the post, we would talk about what joy looks like to them. When have they experienced joy in the past? What do they associate with joy? What activities bring them joy? And we would talk about giving themselves permission to experience joy in and among communities where the demographic is different. So myself, for instance, I have friends who are 20 years older than me and 20 years younger than me. And I really appreciate that diversity in my life because I get different things from different people. This person is expressing exasperation with not finding anyone their own age. And I would dig into a little bit more of the psychology around that when it comes to participating in events where they don't have other people their age. Are they still able to experience joy even if they're at a concert with people 10 years younger than them? Or does the community around them affect the joy that they feel? And we would kind of work through that together. Now, as I said, this one is a doozy and there's a lot to unpack here, but it stood out to me because everyone can experience joy and no one needs to feel FOMO. And there are ways to release the trauma that we experienced at any point in our life and make a 90-degree turn and start down that healing path. If you have experienced trauma, if you would like to speak with me about anything that we've spoke about today or any issues, you can reach out to me at theclarityexchange@gmail.com. And for everyone else out there, remember to fill your life with things that bring you joy. See you soon.